So if you didn't know how cruel and callous this government already is, then this latest development will definitely clear things up for you. The UK government is trying to pass new laws that would criminalise sleeping on the streets with a fine up to £2,500. If passed, the criminal justice bill would mean people who are homeless in England and Wales could face fines or even prison for so-called nuisance rough sleeping. The bill says someone could be considered a nuisance if they sleep in a doorway, if they have excessive smell, or even if they simply look like they are intending to sleep rough. So according to the big issue, there are 4,266 people sleeping on the streets at any given time in England. Then we have around 270,000 people who are homeless. That's figures from Shelter. Poverty is up, the cost of living is up, and the response from this government is to attack refugees and threaten rough sleepers with fines and prison. What a disgusting and vile Tory government we have. What's crazy is that the Tories said they were going to end rough sleeping by the end of the year, but clearly their tactics is to house them, but in prison. I mean, that sounds pretty fascist if you ask me. And it wasn't long ago that Suella Braverman allowed councils to take tents away from those living on the streets, who said that homelessness was a lifestyle choice. And now we have this. We have Rishi Sunak, who with his wife is worth nearly £1 billion, clearly has his finger on the pulse when determining what this country actually needs. Now, is it me, or does it seem insane that so much has changed over the last 100 years? The leaps in technology, becoming far more socially equal, although we certainly have very far to go. We can do so many amazing things, yet in the year 2024, the 5th richest country in the world still has people sleeping on the streets. We are punishing people for a system which pushes people into this situation. Our welfare state is in tatters. Not only that, but the level of benefits is too low to meet the cost of living. And the wait, I mean, people aren't getting the benefits for up to 5 weeks at a time after signing on. We've got sanctions where people are stripped of payments for the most menial things like being late or missing an appointment. People are declared fit for work when they're not and dying because of it. We don't have a proper social safety net. So of course, we're going to have rough sleepers and homeless people. And the response from this government, was just punish them even more. Where is our humanity? I mean, the obscene wealth and income inequality we have in society is sickening. There was a recent report that came out that said the richest 5 men have increased their wealth whilst the bottom 60% have got poorer. We're going to see trillionaires soon. And at the same time, we have people begging on the streets. Often, some of them are veterans. I mean, these veterans served this country. The government pretended to give a shit about them. And once they serve the country, we turn around and say, go fuck yourselves. And what angers me so much is right-wing political parties like the Tories and especially like the GOP in America pretends that they care about patriotism and shit like that when it's complete bollocks, because they're also in favour of stripping benefits. They don't want to house people. They don't want to house veterans. It's completely hypocritical. Why does this happen? Because it's more important for people to make a profit from housing, because we have empty properties that have been bought up by foreign investors waiting to sell it in the future for a profit. This is psychotic. Look, if we were just to think for a second what kind of society we'd like to see. Imagine you're sat next to someone and they say, all right, well, the sort of society I want to see is thousands begging on the streets. I want to see people starve, but also I want to see billionaires with multiple private jets and yachts. You'd rightly turn around and think, well, this person's insane. Get away from me. Yet that is exactly what we do. And nothing is being done by these self-serving assholes in government. And before anyone says, wow, it's complex, it's not easy to do, rubbish. There are many countries who have radically decreased the amount of homeless people. Finland is a great example. Look it up, read about it. It's brilliant how far they've come. Meanwhile, our country, we put up anti-homeless architecture and essentially just tried to ignore the problem. Now, there's something called the Vagrancy Act, which is a 200-year-old piece of legislation where it criminalised rough sleeping after the Battle of Waterloo, specifically because there were so many soldiers who were on the streets. Nice. But clearly not much has changed. Now, the act was recently scrapped by the Tories, but clearly that isn't a victory because they are just replacing it with this criminal justice bill. Also, imagine fining people thousands when they clearly won't have that money. Now, I'm not sure how specifically this process is going to work, but I can imagine that some will face prison if they're unable to pay. And I mean, please tell me how the hell they can pay. It's just cruel. It should be the priority of every single political party, not doing stuff like scrapping inheritance tax. And I question why people get into politics. For me, I think if you want to get involved in politics, you want to make a difference to people's lives, especially the most vulnerable people in society. That's what gets you fired up. That's what gets you angry, right? I mean, the reason why I initially came into politics is because I saw a world where there were mega rich people who were doing whatever they want, couldn't possibly spend all their money, whilst at the same time we have child poverty, we have people who are hungry, we have people living on the streets. That's why I got into politics, because I felt a burning sense of injustice. So then you get people in politics, especially the Tories, who are in there and they're like, yeah, we're going to cut taxes for the rich. We're going to make the rich richer and screw the poor, or screw poor people. And you think, why? Just go and do something else. If you're a rich toff that came from Eton, just live your happy life being very privileged and wealthy. Just piss off and do what you want to do. But don't come into our political process and make matters even worse. I just don't understand it. I don't know why people who are born with a silver spoon in their mouths get into politics, become an MP, and just make the lives of the working class and poor miserable. It's like they get a kick out of it. I wonder why. Are these people just psychotic and they get a kick out of it? Some definitely do. So this bill is being debated in Parliament. I'm going to drop the crisis link in the description where you can sign up to their mailing list. On their website, they will help you find your local MP if you can't do so yourself. So you can contact them and urge your MP to fight this horrific bill.